Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video I'm going to be showing you 5 punk records that came out in the 90s that I think are essential. I know a lot of people have their own definitions of what essential means. A lot of people probably think that the record has to be groundbreaking or highly influential to be considered essential. But to me, essential means that if you're a fan of the genre, these are records that you have to have at least listened to once. You don't necessarily have to like the album or own the album, but you have to have listened to it at least one time. So without any further ado, we can jump straight into it. And the first essential 90s punk album, I think, is Pummel by All. This came out in 1999, released by Interscope Records. This is the first pressing of the record, just on black vinyl. I think there's a bunch of represses now. So for those of you not familiar with All are essentially the Descendants, but without Milo Ockerman as vocalist. The band formed after the Descendants' 1987 album titled All, and that's obviously where the band name has come from. All continues on with their melodic sort of punk sound that the Descendants had started to develop. They've had a few different lead singers throughout their time, and this is the second album to feature their longest serving vocalist, and in my opinion their best, Chad Price. Pummel was the band's first and only album to come out on a major label, and it takes a darker, more angry kind of turn compared to the rest of their catalogue, which I guess have a lot more pop sensibilities throughout them. And owing to that, Pummel originally had mixed reviews when it came out, but I think you can still argue that Pummel is All's best album. And don't be mistaken, this is still a really catchy melodic punk record full of good songs. It's got Million Bucks, Miranda, Not Easy, Long Distance, Button It, Breaking Up, just to name a few. And yeah, the fact that it's darker and angrier really does make it stand out compared to the rest of their albums, and why I think it's an essential 90s punk record. Alright, and next up we have Jawbreaker's Unfun. This was released by Shredder Records in 1990. This is the original blue vinyl pressing, limited to about 800 copies, I believe. Now, there's probably an argument to be made that this isn't even Jawbreaker's best album, which is fair, I think, when they've put out 4 incredibly good records in the space of about 5 years between 1990 and 1995. And I think I could have picked any one of them to be included in this video, but I've gone with Unfun. Unfun is unique in that it kind of mashes multiple styles of punk together. The instrumentation at times is quite poppy and melodic, and there's a lot of catchy riffs and hooks that you just can't help but bop along to. But then there's the guitar tone, which wouldn't be out of place in a hardcore band, which is matched, I think, by the rough vocals of Blake Swatchenbach, which just kind of pulls it all together. There are so many good tracks in this as well that all have quite diverse lyrics. You've got one of the best love songs with one of the catchiest hooks in punk music that I can think of in the opening song, Want, which is then followed by See Through Skin, which is an anti-racism song, to put it simply. Later on you have Busy, which talks about trying to help a friend who's having a mental breakdown. And then there's probably the darkest song on the album, Driven, which is an anti-objectification of women song. And that's just to name 4 songs. This thing is full of tracks that just rip. So seriously, do yourself a favor and go check out Unfun if you haven't listened to it already, as it is one of the best punk albums that came out in the 90s. Now next up we have Twisted by Design by Strung Out. This was originally released in 1998 by Fat Records, but this is the 2010 repress on blue vinyl, limited to about 200 copies. This record really epitomizes the Fat Wreck sound and is easily one of their best albums, and essentially why I've included it here. This record really exhibits some of the best punk musicianship I can think of. The drums are essentially non-stop and are just a perfect example of that non-stop galloping drum beat that is so known within punk music. The guitar work is also really technical at times, which you don't often associate with punk music, I feel. And that's particularly displayed on the opening track, Too Close to See. The lyrics on here are just exceptional as well, and this record is just full of great songs, some of which are Too Close to See, The Exhumation of Virginia Madison, DeVille, Crossroads, Tattoo, and look, it just feels wrong not listing the entire track list because this record is just that good, and I think this would be included on a lot of people, if not most people's, top albums to be released by Fat Records, and essentially why I've included it here. Now, you can't talk about essential 90s punk albums without mentioning NoFX. Here we have their fourth album, White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean. This was released in 1992 on Epitaph Records, and this here is an original pressing on black vinyl. I actually thought about including Ribbed or Punk and Drublick here, both of which I think are entitled to be included on a list of essential 90s punk records, but I decided to go with White Trash as I think it's the first album where NoFX really found their sound that they became known for, and it's also the first album that would feature their main lineup that would stay together until they decided to call it quits last year. White Trash was a step up from their previous album Ribbed, and the band really just continued on from where they left off with their Longest Line EP, which came out earlier in 1992. White Trash includes some of the band's best and most well-known songs, such as Stickin' in My Eye and Bob, and the whole album is just full of great riffs, like the opening to Sold Out, and it's full of great solos as well, like the opening of Liza and Louise and Please Play This Song on the Radio, or towards the end of She's Gone. It also includes the typical non-punk, I guess, NoFX songs like Johnny Appleseed, Bugly Eyes, and what is essentially a lounge cover of Minor Threat's Straight Edge. Something only NoFX would think of doing, I think. But yeah, anyway, this is a classic album, and yeah, is an essential 90s punk album. And for the last record, we have Sam I Am's You're Freaking Me Out, released in 1997. This was actually recorded in 1996 with the intention of it being released on major label Atlantic Records, only for the band to end up being dropped. But luckily they were able to still get the rights to the album, and they had it released on Ignition and Burning Heart Records, originally on CD only. This here is the first vinyl pressing, which was released by Bitscore Records a couple years later in the year 2000. Sam I Am, kind of similar to Jawbreaker, have developed a sound that fuses a few punk genres together. There's obviously some more melodic or pop undertones here, but there's also a lot of hardcore influences too. This, coupled with a lot of emotionally driven lyrics, has made Sam.I.Am one of the more well-known emo punk bands. Now, this is probably the lesser known of the 5 records I've shown you here today, but that doesn't take away what a great record this really is. This has the best 3-song opening sequence in any punk record that I can think of, in Full On, She Found You, and Factory. Honestly, can't think of anything that's better. If you think there's a better record with 3 better opening songs, then yeah, leave them in the comments below, because I'd like to know what you think they are. And these 3 songs just really set the mood for the rest of the record, which is just full of more great songs such as Ordinary Life, Good Enough, My Convenience, and Out of Mind, which just makes this a staple for emotionally driven punk, and a record you have to check out, even if it's just for the first 3 songs. But there you have it, 5 essential punk albums from the 90s. Do you agree with my 5 picks here? If not, let me know what 5 other picks you would include. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!